For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of USC's victory over Cal, 30-20. I think the story of the game was turnovers, and man, I think USC is glad that they got turnovers in this game.
Yeah, they got 6, and I was just talking to Cam, and I said, "You got 6 turnovers, and it was still close? What's going on with that?" And he said, "No, we're not going to mope about 6 turnovers or a victory, but," and then he didn't want to say, "But I'm sorry. You get 6 turnovers against a team that you're already better than, it shouldn't be 30-20. Let's just say that."
Mm-hmm. We heard from the players that, it's their first away game. It's an earlier start, kind of sluggish. It's a slow start. How much do you think that played into it, or is it USC just kind of lowering to teams' levels?
I think it has something to do with how they practiced all week. I didn't think they practiced real hard. I mean, we talked about it. Each day we'd come out there and say, "Well, what do you think we just saw?"
Yeah.
I don't think they were ready to play with the kind of physicality that Cal brought and the kind of energy that Cal brought. Mm-hmm. And they come out there like they did against Texas, and they let Cal make plays. They failed to make plays, and they let Cal think, "Hey, we've got a shot here." And the Cal crowd gets going, and everything starts. And they play up to mostly to their ability, in the second half. But they've got to figure out a way that what they do in practice during the week gets them ready to go full speed, full energy, full confidence right away. They're not doing that. And you don't want to be in Pullman, Washington next Friday night, behind a couple of scores against a team that can, throw the ball all over the place. So, it was a weird game. USC secondary, for much of that game, did not have a really good game. And now they come out with 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions and 6 turnovers and say, "Man, that's a pretty good game." On balance, it was a win. Considering the options, you're far better off coming off and saying we won. Mm-hmm. But did they play that well? They did not.
Mm-hmm. USC had red zone issues again on offense. It kind of shone light on T. Martin's play calling ability. You got to kind of talk to him about that. What did he have to say?
It was a win. We got to win. This is how you win championships. You sometimes have really tough games. Would you like some of those play calls back? Absolutely. Would he specify which ones? Absolutely not. But he said, yeah, you definitely like some of those play calls back, and we can all, think of some of those play calls you'd like back. And, one of the things that's hard to answer right now, for example, is on the play where, Sam scrambles, gets just a great look at the end zone, and what do you know? There's Deontay wide open, and the ball's nowhere near him. And now, T said, well, they were kind of in, Sam's chest. Not really. That was, last year you'd have marked that down as a touchdown. As soon as you saw Sam's free, Deontay's open, ball's there. Ball wasn't there. Don't exactly know what's going on there. It just doesn't look and have the same feel.
Mm-hmm. So I know you just said you don't know, but what would you chalk this up to? Is it just Sam having an off day, wide receivers not having chemistry, injuries? What exactly do you think is going on there?
Don't know. I know one time he scrambles, he's got I'm trying to think who it was, open, deep, and he couldn't quite get the ball to him. I don't know. He just not exactly throwing the ball the way he was throwing it, let's say, in the Rose Bowl. And obviously everybody remembers the Rose Bowl. Yep. I don't know what's going on. It just doesn't quite look the same. I don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. But it's something.
Mm-hmm. While we are harping on USC, they are 4-0 for the first time since 2010. Is this something that they can just keep making adjustments each game, like they say, take it day by day or game by game? Or is this going to catch up with him at some point? Like you mentioned, Wazoo, 6 days turnover. They've been playing physical teams. They're injured. Is this going to catch up to them at some point?
Yeah, it almost did today. Cal has to miss, a 29-yard field goal for somebody that doesn't miss those, or they would have gone ahead in the second half there. And that was one of those, wow, we got to survive that. I wouldn't have liked the way this would have been if Cal would have taken the lead again in the second half. I didn't even have the sense of what you had at Texas where, they'll be able to make enough plays. you just weren't sure today. And let's face it, they are a whole lot better than Cal. Cal doesn't have more than a handful of players who would play for USC, sorry for USC. You know, the energy, I mean, I give Justin Wilcox, you know, his defenses didn't necessarily play like that when he coached at USC, but they're going out there and they're playing hard. That was, and it was interesting where Clay talked about they're really developing an identity. And the question I asked was, is USC developing an identity? You know now what Cal's identity is. They're not as good, but they have an identity of how they're playing hard and they're taking chances and they're just doing, you know, everything they can. What's USC's identity? Clay said he thought that the failure, you know, to convert on the third and fourth and shorts in the red zone efficiency took away the chance for USC to show what they can be. But it just doesn't seem like the USC team has an identity. I mean, on some plays, you know, they've got one identity. On some other plays, they don't have that identity. I think they need to figure out who they are, how they win football games on both sides of the ball, and then do it. And we're not seeing that.
Mm-hmm. So if you're a USC fan, I know, like I said, USC's 4-0. Are you concerned coming out of this game? I mean, they got to win, but there's glaring issues that need to be addressed.
You're concerned. I don't think there's any question. The coaches have to be concerned. The players have to be concerned. I mean, you know, how were they concerned at halftime? You bet. I mean, that was there's a lot of reason to be concerned after this game. And they just have to figure some things out. I know they said, you know, second half they figured out, you know, what they needed to do defensively. One wonders why didn't they have that figured out the first half? I mean, I'd like to see you go out there. If you're better than they are, more athletic, you probably ought to be able to take some things away in the first half, which they didn't. They basically shut them out the second half. I mean, that last score was against, you know, the USC's backups. And so, you know, essentially they basically said, we're not going to let Cal do what they were doing the first half. The question you have is, why did you let them do it the first half? Don't get a real good answer.
Mm-hmm. So going forward, I mean, what do you think USC needs to do going forward? Especially with such a short turnaround. Sorry to cut you off.
That's okay. You know, I'd like to see them put a little more pressure on these guys during the week. And I know it's been a big theme about how do we get them through 12 games without a bye. And I think they've, you know, overthought maybe how they have to kind of conserve them as they go along. But if you get a, you know, throw a loss in there, it ain't going to matter all that much how you've conserved them. So I would like to see them figure out a way to put them under a little more pressure, challenge them a little more physically, get them up to speed during the week more so that when they hit the field, they're up to speed. It looks like they're still doing a walkthrough in the first quarter, for example. They're just not quite up to speed. And I think that's how you transfer practice to the games. And I'm not quite seeing that the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's going to wrap it up from Cal. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.